It is time once again to rally the troops here inside of the Cinch Cowboy Commons. And day number 2 of the No Spin Rally, live with Tommy Joe Lucia and Kendra Santos.
Good morning, Las Vegas. We got one under our belt. Welcome to the second day of the No Spin Rodeo Rally right here at the Cinch Cowboy Commons stage. If you haven't started coming in this side of the convention center, you better figure this one out. This is the way in, trust me. Easy parking, easy in. Welcome my wonderful co-host, Kendra Santos. Good morning, Kendra.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm peachy.
Grand.
I'm good. That first week is, it's starting to feel like we're all going to catch up. You're starting to get in your rhythm, right? And, know when you have time to go to the bathroom, know when you can eat, where you're going to eat, figuring it all out. Are you figuring it out yet?
Oat has it figured out for me. First thing every morning, it's hot water, lemon juice, chia seeds, cinnamon, turmeric, pepper, and fresh garlic.
Yeah, Donna figures it out for me, and it's the Liquid IV and Miralax. There you go.
Oh, God.
I mean, you gotta keep moving. Gotta keep moving. All right.
Should we talk about last night?
Well, we're going to kick it off like we do every day with our Pro Fantasy Rodeo round recap. So brought to you by Pro Fantasy Rodeo, our one and only sponsor for this year. Thank you, Casey. So give us the highlights. We'll get down deep in it later, right? But just hit the highlights for us about who won, yada, yada.
Just a few things. Yes, we're not going to, everybody knows who won and everybody was watching with us. But a few things that were interesting to me before we just talk about the individual events were like the fact. Well, I thought it was super cool and respectful to honor the 85 world champs at this 40th year in Vegas in the opening. I thought that was really neat. It was fun to see those people, and we're lucky that we have one of them to visit with us today, and Ted Nuce. And I was really surprised. Well, I know it was hard for fans and contestants to have to walk in on foot in the opening, but we all understand why. We talked a lot about that.
Why is it hard?
Well, I mean, it's a thrill for all of us, including if this is your first back number and you didn't get to ride in behind your flag, like that's a big thrill.
Oh, I get it.
But
I didn't think it looked bad.
No,
It was good.
It was well played.
Now the queens with the flags.
It's just what had to be done in this instance. But let's realize, I've never talked to a guy that did not say that riding in there that first night behind his state flag wasn't the just when it became real and he cried and got goosebumps. So, it had to be done, but whatever. What really surprised me, and I thought it was very cool on the one hand, but when they opened with having the 3 NFR bullfighters in baggies fighting bull, I guess is a throwback, in part to 85 world champ Rob Smets.
Yep.
Like I saw Tugnas after, and when I'm sitting there, and I'm like, these are our NFR bullfighters, you know what I mean? Out there with like a legit fighting bull. That kind of shocked me.
Well, because that was when the bullfights, they were given buckles for the bullfight championship.
I understand why they did it, but the fact that they put those guys...
Okay.
They're here to save our bull riders, so it was kind of big balls to put them out there to fight a real, legit bullfight.
I see what you're saying, by letting them compete.
If one of them gets mucked out in the beginning, I guess you get my point. But anyway.
I got the point. Got it.
Okay. So, let's just roll here. Cooper Cook, 88.5, won the bareback riding. I'll just
rip through them.
When there's a highlight.
Rip through them,
okay.
cowgirl.
So Wag is back. Shocker not. Won the first round of the bulldogging, and he's Winston McGraw. He's riding his horse Swamper, and Winston's hazing. Really sweet last night after the opening with the 85 champs, and then he had Oat on the stage with him to get that buckle. That's now Wag's 20th NFR Go Run buckle, and
wow.
And Oat had 20 NFR Go Run buckles, so that's cool. That's cool. Those guys, when they see each other, they wave, and Oat waves like this, and Wagisback waves like this. But if you let him get a jump on the pack like this,
that's four world
titles. Anyway, of course, Wag loves to rub it in. But anyway, he's got a legit shot to make some history here, and I don't think anybody would be foolish enough to bet against him. But okay, so the first team out, Lightning Aguilera and Caden Perfili won. You know, they were 4 flat, won the team rope in.
I thought that was cool.
First out, Lightning did his Lightning thing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool.
And that was, you know, that was cool. There were several no times, and there were no times in every event, all the timed events, and I guess for that, like if I was their mom, I would just say, well, go back and look at the record book on Speed and Rich, right? The winningest 8-time world champs. They almost every single time found a way to go out in round 1, and then it just let their hair down for the whole rest of the week. So, you know, it's tricky when that happens.
That's got to be a tough emotional blow. But we're going to get into that later.
And also extra tough if you're 3-time reserve world champ Will Loomis and you're the leader of the pack this year and you go out of it in the first round. That's, you know, tricky stuff. But anyway, and also I will say that I saw Wag and Will before the rodeo, and we've all been wondering why Dakota Eldridge is walking around with a walking boot.
Right.
And he has a broken foot. So may or may not need surgery after here, but he's...
Now, did you hear how he broke it? Did he drop a panel on it?
Yes, a panel, and they talked to me, and I don't remember all the details, but it's not like a joke. It's not like a hangnail or something. So he may need to have surgery after the finals, possibly.
I'm sure he will.
They said it's a maybe at this moment. Okay, Stetson Wright, 90. To our point of talking about the bucking order yesterday, where the top 5 guys in the world get to go last every night, he went second. And
yeah, I wondered that.
The self-satisfaction in that kid right now is fun to watch. A couple things happened last night. Well, next is the calf roping, and Shad Mayfield and Lollipop 6'8". They kind of daylighted the field. That was, you know, cool to get a jump. But a point I'll say in these back-to-back events, flags were thrown. And Ryder Wright, leader of the pack, they throw a flag like he missed him out on the left side. And then they went to their review, which is a recent times situation, and they overrode it. And then in the very next event, our world leader, Rayleigh Webb, they threw the flag for a jerk down. And... it stood, but the way they have it now, which has not always been the case, is that it's a fine for the first infraction, and if it happens again, it's a no time.
$2,500 fine. Next time, it's a no time.
So, you know, that's a big one.
Yep, I agree.
And so, okay, the barrel race. I think everybody had a pretty cool feeling about. I mean, everybody was feeling for Cassie not to be able to bring Jarvis, you know, her unicorn or whatever, and to go first, being the season leader, but to be on a different horse she rode Will, to win the round. It doesn't really surprise anyone who knows what's up with her. I don't think people who are only hardcore rodeo fans, I don't know that they understand the extent that she's closing in on $8 million. She's like J.B. Mooney of the barrel racers, right? And I feel like she could like win on a camel or something like that, you know, like she's
no, that's possible. Depends on how the rest of the week goes, but it could be a camel.
She's handy, and she's one of those people. She's like a quiet rider. You know, some of them, they're just, you know, gapped out and stuff. It's like, she works with horses. Like, it's like magic, you know, and so much respect. But she went 1-2 with Haley Kinsel, and remember those two between them won 9 rounds here last year.
Yeah. Now you're the horse expert and the name expert and the lineage expert, but there's a Palomino horse with braids. What do you know? One of the barrel race horses. I'm talking one of the most beautiful horses I've ever seen.
Adios Pantalones. He's 5-year-old stud.
God, that horse is gorgeous.
Yeah, and he's here for the first time, and he's the winningest barrel horse futurity stallion of all time.
He's beautiful.
And it's fun. Trisha Aldridge is his owner and writer, and it's fun to watch her because to stand back, she reminds me something of Fallon Taylor in that she speaks her mind, and Fallon has her and her horse all decked out every night, But what I appreciate about both of those people is they do not give half of one shit what you think. And so they're just going to say it how they see it and then take it or leave it. They don't really care, but I appreciate they tell the truth as they see it. Yep. And some people mince around and are scared to, speak their mind. Fallon nor Trisha, and I don't pretend to know either. I've never even met Trisha. But good for them, and they're both very successful, and that often comes with a price tag also. So whether you like their personalities or not, the business women that they are, like it or not, they're very, very successful in and out of the arena, so good for them. Again, the Stetson Wright show, he won the bull riding also, 89 3/4. He was a quarter point away from a couple of 90s, but he was lights out last night. And he was very emotional about it. After a couple years ago, remember, he tried to start and he just couldn't. And he cried. He was so sad, And then they told him, your career's over. And so it's not even to say the fire, but, like last night, it was like, nobody understands how hard of a road back this has been. And he is very emotional because he was on top of the world, and it was, a blink. It could have been over.
Well, and in his interview, he kept referencing his paw, telling him to just do your thing.
Yeah.
That's an indication to me that maybe he's like, can I really dominate again, right? Somewhere in there that had to be thinking, well, you go do what you do in round one, the confidence is back, watch out. Right?
Yeah, and you could see this coming. You could see it coming at the Wilderness Circuit Finals the other day. And people, I made a comment the other day publicly that people who want to start backbiting about Stetson Wright missing a step is like, people say that about Sister. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
That's just jealousy talking. That goes back to my Timery days when I would get so bummed at people taking pot shots at him, and he's like, toots. Jealousy is a very ugly emotion, but it also comes with the territory. When you're the top king of the hill, they're going to take pot shots at you. So it's the way it is. Anyway, Stetson's closing in on $500,000, for this year, and we just finished round one. So
yeah. Well, and my Pro Fantasy Rodeo recap is going to be a little different. Throwback night. So some of my insiders sent me a picture of the judges' throwback uniform. So if you're watching this, we'll take a look. Did you see them? I mean, it looks like a blue candy cane, and you can darn sure see them. No vest, throwback. That's what they wore back then. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, these are like, I don't know that they're brush popper. They're probably Wrangler, but they literally look like they pulled them off the clown shelf. Because, a barrel man could wear this. Big white and blue stripes. Congratulations, guys, for stepping up and going throwback on that.
Well, the thing is, those shirts look exactly like the vests they wore for years. And I'm assuming that looks like Wrangler attire.
It probably is Wrangler,
right?
Yeah. I assume it's Wrangler. I can't tell from the picture, but it's pretty interesting, right? It looks pretty cool. Now, and then also I'll recap. Let's recap. Now, remember, on Pro Fantasy Rodeo, the big game, the one that you play for 10 rounds, started last night. So we're just going to quickly each day take a look at who's winning the big game. Big prizes, trailers, trucks. You can pick a Ram or a Ford truck. So let's take a look at who's winning, and you can see how you're doing. It looks like, let me look at it on my computer because I don't know if I can see it behind me. Hold on a second, people. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so bad idea, Jason Childers. He's got $260,000 won. Just to put that in perspective, old Tommy Joe here, he knocked it out of the park with $64,000 last night. He's just killing it, sitting there in the tattoo. So I'm in the tattoo league. So is Kendra. So is Mr. Garrett, who's producing this show for us. And so I'm going to go ahead, since we're going to start this off. Congratulations, Mr. Garrett, sitting number 1. He's the furthest from getting ink anywhere right now. How about a hand for Mr. Garrett? And you, my dear, are coming in strong at 9th. And I am 3 holes out from someone deciding where to put ink on my body.
The basic is the winner. The winner decides what tattoo the loser gets, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Don't look. Garrett's got this cheesy smile on his face. We'll see if he stays in the top slot for the whole time. So anyway, now, so that's the big game. One quick other thing before we get into the show and our guest, which is cool. This is pretty cool, people, and I don't think people understand. Now the daily round games start. So if you've ever played fantasy and you got frustrated because you didn't pick the right guy, look at the round games. You save $5 if you have a big team. You come in there and you get to pick each day. You get more money. You know how they have the salary cap? You get more money. You just go to profantasy.com. You got a $650,000 salary cap, and it's a $10,000 payout per round. So consider doing daily. And you know, the thing about the daily is, if you're smart, you look at the stock that they've drawn, right? You look at hot and cold guys. So you can really kind of play more right now. So Pro Fantasy Rodeo daily game starts today. Thank you for Pro Fantasy Rodeo. Thanks for our round recap. And now let's get into the fun stuff. Our guest for today is 40 years ago, beat Tough Edeman with a 90-point ride on Ivory's 189, I think, if I remember right. Welcome to the stage, a very outspoken, we're very happy to have Mr. Ted Nuce. Come on up, Ted. He's going to take his seat, and I'm going to let Kendra take the first run.
The first run. I think that this is, based on the car ride over here, this is going to be it's going to be a quick passing of time here. So, 85 world champ, I'm really glad that you came back to town for this, because I think it's cool that Vegas, as much as, like, Las Vegas events is famous for raising the bar. There's a record payoff every year. They do something new. There's always a new twist. They never just rest and let it sit, which is kind of the calling card of the PBR also. But I thought it was very classy and respectful and cool that they this year, in honoring 40 years in Vegas, brought back the champs from 40 years ago. And how cool to see you guys all together, you know, talking about it. I just also up front would say to people that you are one of the original founders of the PBR. Back when it was Cowboy owned and operated, and God knows how much that has boomed. And Tommy Joe and I both were longtime employees of the PBR. I was the editor-in-chief for the first 16 years. And did you have a specific title besides busting your ass?
Vice president of something. There's always a vice president, production.
For a long time.
For a long time.
But we both have very fond memories of being part of the steamroll, you know, of where it's come. Anyway, I would love for you to take us back to 85 and, like, what it was like. Like, Ode has talked about how, like, there weren't a lot of people in the stands, correct? What do you remember about 85?
This is the first year. First year it comes here.
Yes.
Right? So everybody knows on the deal.
It was so exciting because in Oklahoma City we were riding for $4,000 go-rounds and a $12,000 average. And it went to $8,000 go-rounds and a $24,000 average. And how exciting is that? You know, to know that the money just doubled. And then you come to the city where they almost make money and you just see it grow. And the things that have happened here, it's just so exciting. But this is no place to stop. It's time to open our wings and fly. When we started the PBR, we had a vision. We wanted to see a guy walk out of the arena with $1 million bonus. How exciting would it be for a world champion, each world champion, to walk out of here with $1 million, and every contestant walk out of here with at least 100,000. Something that I saw the other night when we were giving out those numbers, I saw more families come up on that stage than ever before. And that was exciting to me because I saw little kids and their dads and their moms and bringing them up there. And this is very family orientated sport. And I've come here and have had some really good finals, and I've come here and I've won almost zero. And if you win almost zero, you walk out of here and you had a very tough year because you rodeoed your behind off, and you leave here with nothing. I don't want to see families leave here with nothing. I think everybody ought to, we're in Las Vegas. They make money here. This is a city of money and lights. Let's see something happen. I think Vegas could make this thing so big that we're not just looked at as an individual. This is how these cowboys get together and have fun. We're a sport. And we need to be looked at like Stetson Wright, a great athlete. When you can do two events like that in one night and be those kind of points, come on. Let's make this special. Let's make it big. Let's move it forward.
You know what I thought was interesting? Like, I've had the pleasure of being on a couple of bus rides with U85 world champs, and some of the conversations have really been interesting about, like, Brad Germanson. We were talking about, rodeo limits or having it wide open and how when it first was like, let's limit it, it was with the promise that the rodeos would more than, make up the entry fees. That always, hasn't always been the case. Brad Germanson, the 85 saddle bronc riding champ, he had an interesting thought. He's like, his strong feeling is that, open it back up. But he also felt really strong that some of this money should be used. He's like, I think he said 25,000. He said, I'd like to the top 30 every year to get a $25,000 bonus check, just because those 16th through 30th people have run up some credit cards and they came so close, and to be in the top 30 in a professional sport. Anyway, it was just an interesting, thought.
I would appreciate the challenge. Makes sense what you're saying. But if you produce these events, the hard thing is, the good thing for the PBR is they've got one discipline. They pay one winner. Okay, you got to multiply that times 9 in fairness. Not saying that it can't be done, but that's a lot. That's a lot of multiples. The other thing that I looked up that I thought was interesting, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think I read that you won $107,000 at the NFR in 85. Is that right?
That was for the year. I won
for the year.
Yeah, I won 62,000 here at the NFR in 85.
In 85. Okay, so $1 then is worth $3 now. So I thought it would be interesting to see if we've been keeping pace, right? Now, it was underpaid back then. So not talking about your topic, it's where should we be, right? I understand that, but let's just talk about that. So $3. So if you took your 107, that's $328,000, right? Worth today, right? Which isn't too terribly far off, in fairness, to where these guys are sitting. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying relative to the cost of living,
yeah,
the value of $1.
Are we keeping up with what $1 was worth? Now, was it should you have not been paid $300,000 then, and it's $1 million now? I'm just saying, but I always want to flip it a little bit. I think Vegas, there's a lot that can be done. But as Teton Ridge and as our sport continues to do what the PBR did well, and that is make these cowboys accessible, tell their stories. There's a reason that we call it a rodeo family, because we all know each other. We can all remember the early days of the PBR, and that's got a special place in us, right? Well, we got to let the world know that that's the case. And then they start buying apparel that's yours because they know you, and this thing does grow.
Right. And professional rodeo contestants are the most accessible professional athletes in the world, period.
Because they have the least amount of stardom right now.
Well, I'm just saying, last night, anybody at the South Point had access to walk up to Shad Mayfield or Stetson Wright. Like, that is unheard of in other sports.
Correct, I agree. But if you build them up to the point where their endorsements are worth $500,000 a year, then they're probably going to have some security when they come to the Super Bowl, right? I'm just saying that when we get there, they're probably not going to be as accessible because they'll still be great humans, but because when you reach that point, you got 3,000 fans that want you to sign their brassiere.
I think, like, then and now, we're going to do a lot of that now, but I would love for you to talk about your era of bull riders because it was really, really a special era. And, like, I don't know if they're going to have that same, right before the bull riding, I don't know if they're going to put the same video up top, but last night, to me, it was so cool to look up there and see you and Tuff and Lane and Jim Sharp. That was a really special era of bull riding.
For sure. I mean, it was Denny Flynn, Donnie Gay, Kenny Wilcox, Bobby Del Vecchio, a bunch of those guys. It was their last NFR in 1985. And then you have Tuff and Lane and, those guys, they were coming strong. They had a deep burning desire to be great bull riders. And then Jim Sharp and, it just took off, and it was a great time to be a bull rider because of the passion. All those guys were very passionate about riding bulls, and it really showed. I mean, those guys, when they tied their hand in there, they intended staying on for 8 seconds. They didn't
look off.
No, very seldom did they get bucked off. And that's, it just takes that kind of passion, and that's what those guys had.
I would love to know what you feel, because we sometimes have the conversation. To me, it's really, really difficult to compare eras. And it's a little hard for me when people just automatically say, well, this is, right now, is the best era. In any event, like, superior to any past era. I mean, I know there's evolution in every event, but it's really tricky to compare Riley Webb and Shad Mayfield roping the calves now compared to what Dean Oliver rode. It's really tricky to compare, how do you compare your era? I mean, they cannot tell me that the talent pool's deeper, right? I mean, that was a deep talent pool then also. I'm not saying these guys are better than these guys, but it's not always easy to it's not really apples to apples in the different generations, right?
The things that I've seen over the years, and I've been very impressed, was when I seen Chris Shivers. He was 18 years old, and he just rode Trick or Treat like not being up, and Trick or Treat was a very ranked bull. And then, you got guys, J.B. Mooney, here comes he. But the one thing that all these guys have in common is their passion and their work ethic. Like, if you don't have work ethic, you'll never see the spotlight. You'll never make a living doing this. And you got to have that, and you got to have that burning desire, that passion. If you don't have that, you don't have a chance. But every era, those guys that make it to the top and stay on top, they have that.
Would it be putting you too much on the spot to ask you who, in your opinion, is the GOAT of all bull riders?
I got a couple. I'm going to have to say Tuff, Donnie. I can't leave Donnie out, and I got to say Jim Sharp.
For different reasons?
Yes, for different reasons. Jim Sharp never bucked off. When he was in his prime, I didn't care. I don't know how many bulls he rode consecutively
at
here
at
the NFR.
Yeah.
And I think Tuff's got the record for all time, staying on the most bulls over his career. And Donnie Gay's got the most world championships. How can you leave him out?
Right. Fair. And Donnie was a flying. See, Donnie would, if he was here to get in on the conversation of whether or not there should be any rodeo limits, I know his answer because he fueled up the plane and went. And so, yeah, that's a whole other thing. I asked you the day before this rodeo started, who is your pick this year? And you said Kai Hamilton. Why?
I feel like, he got on a real roll here at the end of the year. And whenever you get on a roll like that, you're carrying momentum, and he has a lot of momentum coming in here. And it showed last night,
He's got a gritty background too. He ain't soft. And I think that matters when you go 10. I would say, so I'm not going to put you on the spot because I'd say, look, if you took the top 5, the animals have changed, fair, right? Yeah. Bulls buck different, right? Let's talk a little bit about that. Compare for us, and I'm not saying what's better, what's worse, but even in the PBR, things have changed, right? Things have changed.
For sure.
You know what these bulls are going to do, pretty much. They're going to do pretty much the same thing. They don't keep cheaters in the pen, and they used to, right, on the bulls. So let's talk a little bit about what do the bull herds look like then compared to now?
Okay, the difference today and when we rode is like, I could go to Cheyenne and I might be 62 points and go out and ask the judge if I could have a re-ride, and there would be no way. Okay, that's not.
That's because the re-ride was weaker.
That's not what's going on today. So they don't even keep those kind of bulls around anymore. Those bulls, they go to they're at the feedlot. So there's so many ranked bulls today that every time you enter, every time you nod your head, you're going to get on a bucker. And chances are he's going to be a 22, 23 point bull. So the guys have to step their game up. They got to be more mentally and physically ready than before because they're getting on so many ranked bulls back to back. And that's, I was able to stay healthy, pretty much for 16 years. In 16 years, I was never out for more than a month. Well, I'm going to tell you something. On today's bulls, that wouldn't be the case because you're getting on so many ranked bulls back to back. Like, okay, we come to the NFR and there's 2 ranked pins and there's 2 eliminator pins. Well, those 2 pins, I may not get on any one of those bulls all year long. And rodeoing, going to, 100 to 125 rodeos a year, I may not get on them because there's just not very many of them. But when you come to the NFR and you got J31, Bodacious, or you got Pacific Bell, or, bulls like that, well, if you got on those bulls back to back every day, it would be very tough to stay healthy.
Do you feel like I know that the talent pool is way deeper now with all the breeding programs, right? Those bulls are worth a fortune, but the PBR, I feel like, had so much to do because I don't know how many times I wrote in the early days of the PBR, it's the best bull riders on the best bulls. Like, that was the fact that it's half of a score, but that was honored all along and making stars of the bulls all along. Do you feel like, is there a big divide between the kind of bulls in professional rodeo now and the kind of bulls at the PBR events now? I'm curious about, sometimes I hear that they don't always want to bring the absolute eliminators here. The Cowboys don't, right? I mean, the eliminators used to come here, but they don't always, I don't think necessarily. But is there a big, difference? I assume the PBR, say the Chad Bergers, the HD Page, those guys specialize in PBR bulls. I know that their bulls come to the PRCA too, right? Is there a difference generally in the
Are the PBR bulls ranker than the PRCA pins? Just can't you say it?
Pussyfooting a little, but
you are.
I don't feel like that. I feel like maybe a few, like a handful, may not come here. But the majority bulls that come here are going to be at the PBR also. Now, as far as rankness goes...
Now, maybe. But I would say, Ted, would you agree with me when Cody... So there was a time when Cody was picking those bulls...
Lambert.
that I would have guaranteed you that you had it tougher over there than you did here. When you throw everybody off all the time, your product gets weaker. It just does. You can't throw everybody off, and everybody can't ride those ranked bulls like you said back to back. I would say that, in my opinion, personal opinion, the PBR has kind of it's those Pins of Bulls. Now you can call me out and say I'm wrong, but the Pins of Bulls that Cody Lambert picked, especially at the finals, right? You know, compared to the ones that these guys pick, right? And I know they got a round or two that's rank, hard to ride, you know. But I would say back now it's closer because I watch the PBR guys, right? They're riding a lot of bulls. They got a lot of bull. They need bull riders. And when you guys said you said, is it deeper now? It's definitely deeper now in bull riders. Because there's a lot of opportunities for bull riders in the PBR with 3 tours and teams and the PRCA. And I'll say this again, and I don't know if you agree, but I'm throwing it out there for you to shred me up, Ted. I think this is as good a set of PRCA bull riders as I've seen in a long time. Here now.
Okay, well,
no, I'm not saying your generation, but in the last so many years. There's a lot of kids in there that can darn sure put it on them.
Well,
they're not looking off. They're trying to ride.
Do you think the top 5 in the PRCA could make it in the PBR?
Go ask Stetson Wright what he thinks. No, I'm telling you, look at Kai Hamilton. These guys could ride anywhere.
I agree with that.
Look at Tristan. Tristan can ride anywhere.
I agree with that. 100%.
He can ride against anybody. He chooses to ride here in the PRCA.
Yeah, I agree.
You know 100%. What? I have 2 boys, and they ride. They do multiple events. I would just soon them come here to the PRCA as go to the PBR.
Why?
Because they work multiple events, but they have a choice. When you're in the PBR, you really don't have a choice. When you sign that contract, you're getting on that bull.
All in.
All in. And I just like it a little better.
No, but you opened the deal with challenging the PRCA to get the money up there, right? Well, you can win a hell of a lot more money in the PBR and the bull riding. Look, I mean, you can, right? Or can you not?
Okay, you can, but why can't we match it? Why can't we have the same thing in the PRCA? Why can't we have that? We can have that. We got to have a vision. Look, when we started the PBR, it was no more than a vision. At first, we had to think it, and then we had to say it, and then we had to go to work, and we had to take some action, and we had to make it happen. That's how things work.
I'm just saying, you got to.
No argument.
You got to. It costs a lot more to pay every winning discipline $1 million than it does one. I'm not arguing with you. We need to say it, think it, make it happen.
I think is a very, very interesting conversation, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but how many times has this happened where, I don't care if we're talking about Sage Kimzey, for the love of God, he won 7 world titles here with a lifelong goal of matching Donnie Gay's 8, and he went to the PBR. That says something for the PBR, for one thing. I mean, it's an individual decision for everyone. But you know, Joe Frost was killing it over here, typically second only to Sage. And then he went over there, and then he got hurt, and his career was cut short. And Josh Frost just had shoulder surgery again. Our defending world champion is not here. I don't know. You know, sometimes people are like, well, he's so stupid. He should just stay here or whatever it is. I don't know if your odds of getting hurt are greater in the PBR. That seems to have happened. Who am I talking about? Harris. J.W. Harris? Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. He was dominating at the PRCA, and he went to make more money in the PBR and got mucked. I mean, he just got hurt real bad. I mean, that could have happened anywhere, I suppose. But it happens a lot that happens, and then everybody's like, what the hell? He should have stayed here, but, you know?
Well, okay, both Sage and J-Dub, they left the PRCA, and I don't feel like when they left, they weren't in their prime. Because they had already won so much in the PRCA, and they left at a time whenever they weren't, I don't feel like they were at their very peak. Okay, so if you leave this and go to that when you're not in your prime, well, you're riding against, I'm not going to say the very best guys. They are, I feel like the PBR guys, they are great, but these guys over here are no less.
That's awesome. But I will say this, for the record, that Sage left here, to me, he left a lot on the table. And again, I respect everyone's decision to do what they think's best for their family. But he did go over to the PBR and win the finals, right, when he left here.
He went over there and won $350,000.
Right.
But there's other motivators, like for Sage, you can...
A family.
You know you're going to fly in. You know what you're going to do. You have to do it. Like Ted said, it's a contract. You got to be there. All of that's true.
If you don't get a bull you can win on, you get a re-ride.
Well, and most of them that are in the pen, you can place on. They don't bring them. Now, it's still the case that in some of these rodeos out there that you got a stock contractor with 16 head of bulls. He runs them all in the draw. 3 of them are good. 4 of them are okay. And 6 of them you'll probably get hurt on trying to. That's because I was going to say that too. Some of those junk bulls, right? Those really junk bulls, you're liable to get hurt on them, nodding your head way more than you are something that's going to, would you say that a junk bucking bull is a little more dangerous to handle, or no? Or is it about the same?
I don't, the eliminator pin, okay? The eliminator pin is different today than it used to be. The eliminators that we used to get on were bulls that really jump forward, big bulls, try to get you on into your arm and then duck away from you, okay? There's not very many. It seems like they cut those kind of bulls out. They don't even make it, okay? Because there's so many other great bulls, but they're still eliminator pin, but they're just ones that aren't going to be as honest and good to ride. They're a little more tricky. They might do something a little different. They might have a big belly roll. It's just they do something a little different, and they have a higher percentage of getting guys on the ground, okay? So let's say that's the eliminator pin. The other pin, the rank pin, is a pin that they ride them once in a while, and when they do, they're 90 plus on them. They're ranked bulls, and they can be ridden, but very seldom. And a guy can't stub his toe and ride a ranked bull. It'll never happen.
I got a curveball for you guys. So from a girl who grew up at the timed event, end of the arena, committees struggle and complain and have a lot of heartache over so many turnouts at the PRCA rodeos in the rough stock events. And, people say it all the time, like, well, the timed event guys don't know what they draw till they get to the rodeo, and there are no reruns if you get one that stops or kicks or whatever. And so some people are like, well, should the rough stock guys get to know what they drew? And, they won't buy a plane ticket for a shitter, right?
Well, we, like at our rodeo this year, we decided to go ahead and release a draw. So there was a time when I thought I would draw at 10.
Days of 47 in Salt Lake City. But you're a freak. Nobody else does that, right?
Yeah, well, not very many. Because I think that if they don't have the guts to come get on, or they don't think they can win, don't travel here. Why make them be here, right? Because that's what it's a mentality.
But all the rough stock people know ahead of time what they
most of the winners, most guys that know they're going to ride everything will get on, because they know they're going to. I mean, I understand you might. But at our rodeo, you're not going to draw one that you can't win on.
At your rodeo, you do triple backflips to bring in all these stock contractors, and you've got Heath Stewart making sure every head is a
I guess
chance.
so. That's fair. Fair enough.
So that's not really the same.
That's true.
So should guys know? I mean, when rodeos talk, it's extraordinary amount of money when they talk about, my God, turnouts are killing us. But then I understand from the Cowboys' point of view, why should I buy a plane ticket for something that's a piece of junk, right? So what's the answer?
Boy, it's hard to call. Whenever you're rodeoing and you're trying to make the NFR, you're trying to win the world championship, and if you have any chance to win any kind of money on what you have drawn, you have to go. If that's your goal, to be the world champion, you just have to go get on. When you don't go get on, you don't win.
Well, I remember Ty. Of course, he was doing 3 events, Ty Murray. But his attitude, he would always say, I'm going to get on everything, all 3, everywhere I go. because you never know. An animal is has a mind of its own. They might wake up that day and have the day. Now, part of it, I'm sure, is because he had all 3 events, right? So he was going to go, so he was going to get on anyway. But then fast forward to today, and it's pretty obvious that the Steiner family manages Rocker's career very carefully. And if he's got one that's not a chance, or maybe is dangerous, or maybe is known to flip over backwards in the chute or something, he's not going to go. That's what they're pretty open about that. So there's different management styles on, do you go get on everything?
I don't know. I feel like, you know what? It's a business call. It's like, how committed are you? How bad do you want this? Like, even though you may draw the one that you know that's not your pick, a lot of times, just like, Ty Murray, his idea was he might have a good day. And I've had bulls that, one time I went to Prescott, Arizona, Charlie and I, over the 4th of July. I go look at the books, and there's 68 points on this bull that I have. I did not have a bad attitude. I went, man, maybe he'll buck. So they put a little turnback fence up at Prescott, and the catch pen gates right at where this turnback fence is. And I asked Harry, I said, Harry, can we run this bull all the way to the front? So he's right against the fence, and where he's already been out once of the catch pen. So he knew where the catch pen was. And this bull steps out, turns back right in the gate, and I end up winning Prescott on him. And it's like, okay, you gotta give it a try. Like, that's just how my mindset was when I was rodeo. And if I had a day and I didn't have anywhere else to be, I was going to be getting on. There was only one chance that I had to be the world champion, and that was by getting on and being at a rodeo every single day. I didn't want to be unemployed, and that's how I looked at it.
Fair enough. But everything's changed, right? It would irritate me when Ty would get a re-ride, and I know where Ty was setting in the round. And from my perspective, stay there, leave it alone. And you knew he literally, if I walked towards him, he would punch me in the nose. Well, yes. He'd look at me like, don't you even walk over here. I'm like, I have to verbally ask you. You already know the answer. So, it's the same deal. But I think his premise, because we've heard him say it, is it's that mentality. I didn't come for second, and I'm going to win, so I'm going to get on everything. But the flip side of that is sometimes for a world title,
the business stuff. A kid at his first NFR last night kept a 70-some point, and it may be brilliant when it's over. Maybe he wins the average. But Ty, help me remember this. There was a year that came when Ty made a good ride, took the re-ride because, again, he didn't come for a second. Did he not beat Daryl Mills by like $1.68, or am I dreaming?
No, that's exactly what happened. This is how good this was. Ty was winning 4th in the go-round. And they said, don't take the re-ride. You're winning 4th. You're going to win 4th. And he took the re-ride. And he ended up winning like 3rd or 2nd or 3rd. And if he hadn't taken that re-ride, he would have not won the world championship.
And that was rounds before we ever knew that this is how it would go.
Exactly.
Well, and we've got about 10 minutes left, but I want to go back a little bit because I'm interested in what you think, Ted, Razor, Jim Sharp. I can't tell you how many times when I was in the barrel or even during the PBR where he rode a bull so clean and didn't move that I swear they took 2 points away from the bull. Right? That he never got, I don't think they realized, because he was always in control. And like I would compare him to Charlie Sampson, right? A guy who all over can ride him, right? But I mean, there's a much different probably if you put Charles in that. You see what I'm saying? Do you think Razor got, because he was so flawless and how he set up there 5% of the time, do you think that went against him some in the markings?
Well, the judges have to know how those bulls are bucking. When Jim Sharp would get on something that was unridden or very seldom, did it get rode, and he sat up there and rode him. I've seen this a lot, and he rode him so easy that maybe if the judge didn't know the bull, maybe it did cost him a point or two. But when you ride that many in a row, you're gonna get plenty of you're gonna get your share of the winnings.
I remember in '88 when he was the first guy to ride all 10, and he gets out, he's out of breath, and I walk up to him, I'm like, talk to me, and he goes, what do you want to talk about, Kendra? Like, he thought nothing of it. It was like, yeah, what's your point? 10 for 10. Like, I didn't come to not ride 10 for 10. It was,
Yeah.
And then, but I feel like, yes, they always said if you could knock Jim for something, which is bizarre, that it was that he made it look too easy or whatever. But then came along, like we've mentioned, Chris Shivers, but his free arm game got him extra points, right?
Most definitely. He showed a bull off as good as you could show one off. Chris had a great style, and he made a lot of great rides also. He
was like more of a flair and flamboyancy, right?
For sure. Like, he could really, he just showed him off really well. Like, if he bucked, you knew he bucked. He was jerking Chris from one side to the other, and he was able to stay in the middle and really show him off and get every point out of that bull that was possible.
One of the great promotions in Western sports history was Chris, the world champion, against the world champion bull. Was it Yellow Jacket?
Yellow Jacket, yeah.
That was built up really a great...
For $1 million,
yes.
For $1 million bonus.
Do you know, Chris was really nervous. I mean, that was a big deal. You want to know at that moment what I was most worried about? That the 6,000 fake $1 million would come out of the ceiling when he rode them. And that they didn't come out if he got thrown off. That the stagehands would be like, throw the money, and it would and Bernard would lose his mind. So that's the kind of difference between pressure for production. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember it. I remember well. Okay, quick question for you. You've got Stetson, Wasey, Kai, and a lot of rookies that can ride. You're talking to them in the locker room. What are you telling those I call them the big three. Those guys are rank, right? Stetson and them, and then you got some rookies that can ride. If you're sitting in the locker room talking to them, it's round 2. What are you telling them that you knew, that you learned, that they need to think about?
The most important thing I feel like is keep your attitude positive. If you get bucked off 1 or you get bucked off 2, keep your attitude right. And your self-talk has to be really good. You have to tell yourself, you know what? I made it here. I can ride any of these bulls, and this is a great day, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to perform at my very best. And that has to be your self-talk. Even though you may not feel that way, that needs to be how you talk to yourself, so that when you climb down in there, you don't have any negative feelings. You need to get rid of those negative feelings. And when you climb down in that bucking chute, you got to feel like, you go all year long. You're not going to ride them all right? But every day's a new day. Every chance is a new chance. So let's make the most of this right now. And we keep that attitude. You got to have that attitude till you get on your last bull here, so that any opportunity that presents itself, you're going to be able to take advantage of it.
As Trevor Brazil used to always say, to make it in rodeo, what you really need to have is a short memory. Right? You can't let past failure.
Yeah, especially if those feelings are negative. You don't want to carry negative feelings into the bucking chute. That's not going to work. You're going to have to feel like I'm 100% and I'm ready for anything.
Is there a fine line as a bull rider between, not turning loose till the back of your head hits the ground, or saving yourself for a new day? Or where's your line on that?
Well, I feel like if you are at the point of no return, save yourself for tomorrow, because there's nothing you can change right now if you're fixing to get bucked off, other than get away safe so you can get on tomorrow.
What if you're at 7 seconds, you think you should have heard the buzzer, you're getting welled, you're fixing to get hooked and stepped on, you need 0.2 of a second. Do you stay or do you get off?
You got to stay. I've been there. I've been in trouble I was making Hail Mary moves right at the whistle, and if I ever gave up 1 iota, I'd have got bucked off and probably wouldn't have got a check. But I got checks riding like that, but I was also blessed that, I didn't get stepped on.
Now, so we got 5 minutes, but I think this is there's different, and Kendra and I have talked about this, bull riders, there's, I remember when the Brazilians came to the PBR, Adriano would be there when we opened the building doing crunches. And Justin would be taking a taxi home from having a drink or two at the exact same time. Can you remember, were you the workout guy? What was your routine back then? Before you rode every night? I mean, and it'd be interesting if that's changed any, right? Can you take us back to what you did morning of round 2 before you went down to get on?
It's really cool because the YMCA here, Louis Field and I, we would go play basketball. We would, go do something fun and loosen up.
That's
and,
cool.
We'd take you go back to your room, take your shower, take your nap, and go to the rodeo.
See, that's interesting, right, Kendra? Get your mind off of it. Play something athletic. Because all you're doing is sitting there thinking about it. That's pretty cool.
And you weren't hammered all night?
No.
Did you say? Okay. I just want to make sure I heard what you said. Go ahead.
That is, I came here for a purpose when I come to Vegas or to Oklahoma City. I wanted to win and I wanted everything right. And my mind was the most important thing that I needed to take care of and manage my thoughts, and that's how I did it.
And that's why you're world champ. It's cool stuff. I did notice at Rocker at the back number, there was a little different look in his eye than previous Rocker at the back number. Like I don't think he had the horse last night, but I'm still telling you, he had a different.
What do you mean?
He looked like he was not just enjoying the moment, but he was locked in, right? He had a different air about him. He's still Rocker, but not quite as rocking as Rocker has been in the past at the back number.
Controlling his emotions a little bit.
Well, and I think, yeah, I mean, you could just tell a difference. It was more of a Casey Field versus, right? It was like, I'm here, a maturity, which we've always said, and so I think you better watch out because everybody's like, oh, look what happened to Rocky. Yeah, he didn't draw right. He didn't draw right. And I'll tell you, if you want to get critical, I thought the bronc riding probably could have been judged a little different, in my opinion. And the bull riding I thought was close. I still think they got it right in the bull riding. I don't know what you think. Here's what I like about Stetson is, personally, he doesn't have some of the strength that the other guys have because he's a littler guy and he rides. If you look how he moved his feet and his knees on that bull, right, to stay where he was. So we got like a minute and a half. Do you notice is there any traits of these guys? Did you watch it last night that you're like, that's going to help them, that's going to hurt them? Anything like that?
The thing that I love the most about Stetson, and it goes back to Ty Murray also. Both them guys rode broncs, and they rode broncs very well. And I've seen Ty Murray's foot hit him right in the butt. And before that bull's front end hit the ground, he had him stuck before that bull's feet hit the ground. I've seen Stetson do the exact same thing over and over and over. And I think that's what the edge that both of those guys have on everybody else that don't ride broncs as well as they do or did, because they have that instinct built into them. So when my foot comes out, I'm sticking it right back down there. I could never get away with some of the stuff that both Ty and Stetson, I could never let my head come up back the way they did. I wouldn't have any teeth. You know that, especially on the, you know what I'm saying. And them guys can do it and do it well.
Athletes.
They're
so athletic.
Both
so
of them
athletic.
are cats to me.
So much.
And okay, I know we're about done. Thumbs up or down. This time we have quarter points at the NFR, and you guys at the PBR are about to have 1/10 of points. In favor?
I love it. The reason why is because there won't be so many splits.
Okay.
Yep, that's cool. Well, thank you for being a part of No Spin Rodeo. We're at the Cinch Stage Cowboy Commons. There's a bunch of cool shows coming up later today. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Ted. First Lady of Pro Rodeo Journalism. We'll see you tomorrow.